Hey everybody, I'm Hillbilly Dude, and today we're talking about the Kershaw Blur. Everybody at work always wants to borrow your pocket knife, but I have a lot of sentimental value in this one. It makes my skin crawl whenever I let somebody else borrow it because I see the way people treat their knives. They'll have a piece of rope or plastic or something, and they'll lay it on a piece of concrete and saw it to cut it, and then you get back your freaking butter knife blade whenever they get done with it. So that bothered me a lot. And so I got this one, and honestly, I'll let whoever needs to borrow this one. I keep it touched up, I keep it sharp. It's not always like that when I get it back from them. But anyways, it makes me not want to hit them over the head with a steel chair if I let them borrow it, that's for sure. So for those of you that don't know about Kershaw, Kershaw is an American knife company. They make excellent quality knives. It was founded in 1974 by Pete Kershaw. And from my understanding and research, Pete Kershaw actually worked for Gerber from 1967 until 1974 when he started his own business. He worked his way up to be the national sales manager for Gerber. And finally, he decided that he had a bunch of designs that he wanted to produce on his own. So he opened his own company, and voila, now we have Kershaw. The Blur is a design that's been around for a little while, and honestly, it's one of their most popular designs. It's a great knife. I've had this one for about 6 months, and I've carried it every day. If you've watched my other video on the Buck 110, I carried that every day for 9 years, and it just has too much sentimental value to me. So I got tired of carrying it at work. I was afraid I was going to break it or lose it. And everybody wants to borrow your knife at work because nobody carries a knife anymore. So I bought this because I thought it would be a good replacement. It's a lot lighter. It's easily one-handed open, and it's made out of good quality materials, and it's made in the USA, which is important to me. So I figured I'd give it a try, and I'm not disappointed. And that's one thing about Kershaw. They like to put this little American flag on their blade, which is an excellent touch in my opinion. I really like that. So this knife has ambidextrous thumb studs, and props to Ken Onion for coming up with this because these are the most ergonomic thumb studs I've ever felt on a knife. They're cut at an angle where most thumb studs are just round. These are cut kind of at a diagonal, so that way the tip of your thumb meets up with them and it's pushing on a flat surface. And of course they've got some jimping on them, so you've got something to press against. But they're super ergonomic, they feel great. A plus on the thumb studs. The pocket clip is not ambidextrous. Unfortunately, you can't switch it to the other side. That's not a big deal to me. I honestly don't even like the pocket clip. I never use it because I've always found that having something clipped on the outside of my pocket is just something that I can snag on something, and I've had a lot of knives pulled out of my pocket doing that. So I really am not a fan of pocket clips myself. I just do the old-fashioned put the whole thing down in your pocket. I haven't got around to taking this one off. It is removable, and although it's not ambidextrous, you can't switch it to the other side. You can flip it so that way you can carry this either tip up, or you can leave it the way it is and carry it in your pocket with the tip pointing down. So the blade is beautiful on this knife. It has a recurved belly, it has a drop point tip, and it has a hollow grind for the edge. And those are three things that I am a fan of for a pocket knife. I think it's a really good combination. I love the recurved belly. It's really subtle. It's not super deep, but that works out nicely. So whenever you're carving on something, it keeps it seated right here in this little sweet spot. So this works out really well for fine carving and whittling. Drop point is actually my favorite design as far as a knife tip. It puts a lot more material right behind the point, so it makes a stronger knife tip. It's not cut out like on a clip point or something like that. And also it just works good for piercing if you're opening packages, boxes, whatever like that, or using it for field dressing animals. So you have that, and you have a hollow grind, which is pretty standard on a lot of modern pocket knives. Ken Onion designed this, and he did a great job at it. He worked for Kershaw for quite a few years, and then I believe he went over to work for CRKT for a while. I'm not sure on his entire work history, but I know he is well established in the knife world and has come up with a lot of good designs. And speaking of Ken Onion, he actually came up with this speed safe assisted opening that Kershaw uses on this. And this was a game changer back in the day whenever they started putting these assisted opening systems on knives, because it was honestly not something we had before. And this is a really cool feature. I'll be honest with you, I don't have any other assisted opening pocket knives. I have a lot of pocket knives. I believe this is the only one I have that's assisted opening. And I just always have kind of stayed away from it because I'm just old-fashioned. But this was something I was looking for a work knife, because with my buck, it's really a two-hand open and a two-hand close, because you have to close it by pushing this all the way at the back. So it's kind of a pain in the butt if your hands are full, or if you're holding something and needing to pull your knife out to cut it and then put your knife away. So this was kind of more suited for what I was looking for anyways. So I went ahead and gave it a shot, and I'm a fan of the Speed Safe assisted open system. It has a spring in it, if you don't already know. Basically, it only helps open up for about the first half, because right there's where the spring stops. After that, it's just kind of free floating. So, but that's more than enough to whip it out and open it all the way up. And also, you don't have to worry about this opening in your pocket, because it doesn't actually, the spring doesn't actually take over until you get to a certain point. So somewhere right in there, yeah, right in there is about the tipping point. Anything past that, it just makes it want to close. And anything, you know, more open than that, it makes it want to fly open. So you don't have to be concerned about this necessarily coming open in your pocket. Makes it so convenient for just being able to pull this out and use it and then put it away all one-handed. Now this knife does have a liner lock design. In case you don't like that, I know some people in the knife world have a problem with liner locks. I don't necessarily mind it. It's not a bad design in my eyes. I know one of the only complaints I've heard of this knife, out of this knife, and all the research I've done, has been the liner lock. Some people have said it's failed on them, and I don't know how they're using their knife, but supposedly they're doing something with it and it wants to close on them and cut their fingers. I've never had any issues with this failing on me, and honestly, it's solid. Like, I'm trying to push up, I can't get it to close. This knife is a tool in my eyes, so I don't do anything too stupid with it if I can help it. Definitely not anything that I'm going to risk closing in on my fingers. It's worked out good for me. The liner lock, it's ergonomical. It's got, of course, some notches in it. Easy to push over and just close it, and it locks out securely. So take it for what it's worth, but it does have a liner lock. They used a DLC coated finish on this blade, which stands for diamond like carbon, and surprisingly the finish has held up quite well on this one. Like I said, I've used it for about 6 months now, and I've resharpened it probably a dozen times. I carry it in my pocket. It gets beat around on everything. You can see the frame and everything is all dented and wore because I carry it in my pocket with other tools or with my keys or whatever. But the finish, the coating, has held up way better than the paint on the frame. So yeah, I'm happy with the coating. It's not bad. So it does have a little bit of jimping on the back of the frame and the blade there to put your thumb on if you're needing to push into something. I usually kind of choke up a little higher than that whenever I'm doing it. If my thumb's back here, it's usually more up here on the blade, so that's kind of irrelevant to me, but it's there. I don't know if it's just for looks or what they were thinking. It's not real aggressive jimping either. I mean, it's not anything that you really feel when you're using it, but it's on there. Now this is the olive and black model. As you can see, it's got an olive painted aluminum frame, and it's got these black Track Tech grip inserts, which is basically just like grip tape, like you'd put on a skateboard or something, except instead of being sandpapery, it's kind of rubbery, it almost feels like a tire. I don't know. Anyways, it's not bad. Definitely not the prettiest design. It is functional, it is ergonomic, it feels good, but kind of lacking in looks, in my opinion. It just doesn't look sexy. But anyways, function over fashion, right? Track Tech inserts seem to be holding up pretty good. I don't really have anything falling out. And yeah, speaking of the aluminum frame, this is 6061 T6 aluminum, which makes for a pretty lightweight knife overall. Like I said, this is the olive and black model. I like it. Green's my favorite color. I thought it looked better than the other colors, but if you don't like it, they do offer this in several other colors, so you can kind of get something that fits you. Now we're going to get to some of the specs. I'm going to read this off a piece of paper, so sorry if it's not the best presentation. The blade length is 3.37 inches. The closed length overall is 4.5 inches, so that's not too bad. The overall length is 7.8 inches, and the weight is only 4.2 ounces. So that's significantly better than carrying around a buck 110, let me tell you. The blade material is Sandvik 14C 28N stainless steel. I've been pretty happy with it. It's worked out really well as far as edge retention. I use this at least once or twice a day at work. Some days obviously a lot more than others, but I've not had any problems with the edge retention, and I've done a lot of cutting with this some days at work. Now obviously it gets dull, you have to come home and touch it up. That's just part of maintenance with any tool that you have. You get what you pay for. This isn't a $200 or $300 knife, and I'm pleased with the edge retention of this steel so far. Also, if you don't like it, I have found other models. They offer this in some other steels. I've seen it in S30V and 440A, and then I think some other ones, but the price goes up quite a bit. So this is just the base model. I've found on their website that this knife does have a warranty. From what I've heard of the reputation of Kershaw, they seem to take care of their customers pretty good. I can't speak firsthand on that because, like I said, I've never had to send this in or do anything to it. I have read of people saying that the first thing to wear out is the spring on these assisted openings, and I could see that being a problem, because if that spring was to wear out, not only is it going to wear out from helping you open it, like I said before, that spring is what keeps it closed. So if that spring is wore out, it's not going to help keep it closed, and I think it's going to want to just fall open, you know. I don't know what the lifetime of one of these springs is. Honestly, it could be mine or your lifetime. I think it'll last a long time, but if it starts getting weak or if something else happens to your knife, you can send it in. It's under warranty, and Kershaw will replace it or repair it for you. This is October 2020, and right now they're going for about $60. I bought this on Amazon, but I've seen it for around the same price everywhere else. I've seen it for about $60 at Walmart. I've seen it for about $60 at Academy Sports. So that seems to be the going rate for this base model. So this has been kind of a down and dirty review of the Kershaw Blur. Go out and get it, guys. Thanks for watching.